Hello once again, I'm Don Jackson with the heartbeat of the internet. One of my sources explained it this way. Light is the physical means by which we see and learn so much about the world around us. Most objects are visible to us because they reflect light to our eyes. Only a few bodies give out light themselves. The sun is our greatest source of light as well as of heat. When it is in the sky, even behind clouds, it illuminates all the world around us. When it is below the horizon at night, we cannot see so well, even when there is a full moon, for moonlight is 100,000th as bright as sunlight. The early Greeks thought that light was something that starts in the eye as a sort of outreaching sense of touch. This idea had too many flaws and was unable to explain many of the effects of light, such as why one could not see in the dark. End quote. Well, we may not have a ready answer for all this, but it is true that we take light for granted. We turn on a lamp or flip a switch on a wall, and the shadows in a darkened room are chased away as the room lights up. We never realize how much we depend on that simple act or miss its comforting glow until a power failure occurs or a light burns out. Look out across the skyline at twilight and watch as the lights of the city turn on one by one, and some of the fear of night is soothed. We may look up at the gaudy neon displays in the entertainment district during a night on the town and are sometimes dazzled by the colors, but more importantly are those simple lights, the ones we look forward to at the end of a long day, those that lead us back to the comfort and safety of home. As my source said, there is yet no completely satisfactory answer to the question, what is light? But I'd like to believe that the poet Lord Byron was close to the truth when he wrote, yes, love is light from heaven, a spark of the immortal fire. It's been said that Diogenes used to walk around in the daytime carrying a lighted lantern. When asked the reason for this, he would say, I am searching for an honest man. It used to be that we only turned our car headlights on at night. Now all vehicles operate with their lights on day and night, and I'm sure the reason has nothing to do with looking for an honest man. This is a short excerpt from the book Why in the World All You Ever Wanted to Know About the World Around You, but may have never thought to ask, published by the Reader's Digest, and I quote, all color in the world comes from light. Without light, we would see no color in the greenest grass, a peacock's feather, a bunch of flowers, or a brilliant rainbow. A beam of light appears to us to have no color. Shine it through a prism, and it breaks down into a spread of colors resembling those in a rainbow. Indeed, that is why rainbows appear in the sky. A shower of raindrops acts to open up the full spectrum of light into all its different and wonderful wavelengths. End quote. Of course, nature provides us with some of the most intense light shows. Consider lightning with its jagged, thunderous bolts between the earth and the sky. Or the feathery streamers of light known as the aurora borealis with its much softer, crackling noises. Our pitiful attempts at lighting up the night fail in comparison, but we do come close. Some of the most spectacular color comes in the form of fireworks. The origin of pyrotechny still remains a mystery. Some think it was the Chinese because their writings allude to some displays long before the Western world became aware of the art of making fireworks. The Greeks were known for their Greek fire, and emperors of ancient Rome delighted the populace with colored lights, which they referred to as fire fountains. It wasn't until the age of gunpowder in Europe that we see these displays recorded in history texts. One took place in a 16th century pageant, while the Italians elaborated on the technique in the 17th and 18th centuries. The basic ingredients haven't really changed throughout the centuries, but today's artists have taken it to a whole new level. It seems their creativity knows no bounds. And during the times in the year when we celebrate the nation's birthday, it seems a wave of noisy color chases the setting sun from one end of the country to the other. Buddha, the enlightened one, once mused, thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. This is an excerpt from the 1990 edition of the Friendship Book of Francis Gay. In the remote country areas of India, lighting is still by simple oil lamps. In one village temple, there hangs from the ceiling a great brass structure with numerous places into which small oil lamps will fit. There are no lamps in the structure itself, so the temple is in darkness until the people come in to worship, each family with its little lamp to guide them along the dark roads. Entering the temple, they put their lamps into a place in the great brass fitting, and so gradually the temple grows brighter, until when all the places are occupied, the interior is a blaze of light. Yes, it is the people themselves who bring the light to the temple. If they ignored their temple, there would be no light and no worship, only utter darkness. End quote. It was Edith Wharton in Vesalius in Zante who wrote, "There are two ways of spreading light, to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it." These are a few words from a German prayer. Light comes through a gap in the curtains, the promise of morning. Light comes through the flaws of our lives, the promise of love. There's that connection to that immortal spark that I mentioned at the beginning of the program. I have walked with people whose eyes are full of light, but who see nothing in sea or sky, nothing in city streets, nothing in books. It were far better to sail forever in the night of blindness with sense and feeling in mind than to be content with the mere act of seeing. The only lightless dark is the night of darkness in ignorance and insensibility. It was called Eyes for Invisibles by Helen Keller. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in To Live and to Die believed, people are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out, but when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is a light from within. Albert Schweitzer would have agreed, the one essential thing is that we strive to have light in ourselves. Our strivings will be recognized by others, and when people have light in themselves, it will shine out from them. Then we get to know each other as we walk together in the darkness, without needing to pass our hands over each other's faces or to intrude into each other's hearts. We may not know exactly what light is, but we have learned something of its properties. For example, its speed. It is the greatest speed that we know of. 186,284 miles per second, a value that is probably correct to within 4 kilometers per second. If you really are curious to know more, then consider this. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is so vast, it would take 3,000 centuries for a single ray of light to travel from one side to the other. And when we look up to the stars, we are in fact looking back in time. If the light from the nearest star to us were to be extinguished right now as you listen to my voice, it would take 4 1/3 years before it would wink out before your eyes. light from distant nebulae, reaching our telescopes tonight, left on its unimaginable journey many millions of years in the past. This quote from an article in the Saturday Night Review by Brooks Atkinson in 1984, and I quote, "For the imagination travels farthest when distance, no longer limited by the visible landscape of the day, extends into the universe of stars that light celestial lamps millions of miles off through the dark corridors of space." Author Francis Gay said, "We too are traveling through a world which contains much gloom and darkness. What matters most is not who we are, from what stock we come, nor whether we are seen, known, or famous. What matters most is whether we leave behind rows of twinkling lights to guide others." Light from the stars and the moon baffled our early ancestors, so they made up legends to try to explain what they were. This is one of them, included in the Time Life edition, The Enchanted World, the Book of Beginnings. In New Guinea, legend tells us of a time when the stars lived on Earth. They were shy creatures and kept themselves well hidden from the eyes of men. In the deepest jungles, far from human habitation, they canoed along rivers overhung by creepers and branches. They wore glistening decorations of curving white boar's teeth and gleaming shells, and the glow given off by these ornaments wavered rhythmically in unison with the haunting song the stars sang as they bowed. One night, a traveler lost in the forest saw the shimmering light and heard the mysterious music. Fired with curiosity, he approached the source of these marvels and peered from behind a curtain of vines. He was nearly blinded by the magnificence he saw before him on the waters of a river. Perhaps he was greedy. Perhaps he merely longed to hold such beauty in his hands. But on an impulse, he reached out from his hiding place and touched one of the canoes. Frightened, the stars escaped, took refuge in the skies, and never returned. Their glorious brilliance was still visible from Earth every night, but their songs never again charmed human ears. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "The man who has seen the rising moon break out of the clouds at midnight has been present, like an archangel, at the creation of light and of the world." Our science fiction has allowed us to travel close to the speed of light, and in some cases, even faster. But the truth may be stranger than fiction. Carl Sagan, in his PBS series and companion volume, Cosmos, published by Random House, said, and I quote, "Traveling close to the speed of light, you would hardly age at all, but your friends and relatives back home would be aging at the usual rate. When you returned from your relativistic journey, what a difference there'd be between your friends and you. They having aged decades, and you having aged hardly at all." End quote. At the very beginning of the program, I mentioned a quote from Lord Byron, "Love is light from heaven, a spark of the immortal fire." And I happen to believe that is true, on some primal level. Maybe that's why we are attracted to a fireworks display, or compelled to look up when a comet makes a close flyby. It's also why some of us look out to the stars and wonder at the origins of the universe. But it also strikes me odd that others rarely even look up. Henry Beston, from The Outermost House, published by Doubleday, wrote, "Civilization has fallen out of touch with night. With lights, we drive the holiness and the beauty of night back to the forests and the seas. The little villages, the crossroads even, will have none of it. Are modern folk perhaps afraid of night? Do they fear the vast serenity, the mystery of infinite space, the austerity of stars? End quote. Sir Winston Churchill wrote, "The glory of light cannot exist without its shadows." And Algernon Charles Swinburne called night the shadow of light. Edwin Markham wrote, "I dare not ask your very all, I only ask a part. Bring me when the dancers leave the hall your aching heart. Give other friends your lighted face, the laughter of the years. I come to crave a greater grace. Bring me your tears." Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.